The reality, though, is that most elections are decided by thousands or millions of votes. It's rare to have the situation that we had, I think, in 2008 when Al Franken ran against Norm Coleman. And statewide, the election was determined by about 300 votes. And there, every vote really did matter. That's a pretty difficult argument to make across all elections. But I think the idea of being civically responsible is important. I watched Louis C.K. on Conan the other night saying that if you vote for Hillary, you're a grown-up. If you vote for Donald Trump, you're a sucker. And if you don't vote, you're an asshole.
Millennials, that's 18 to 34-year-olds, now represent 69.2 million voters, almost as many as baby boomers.
They are turning out to vote. We talked to our audience, and over 97% are planning on voting. Doesn't mean they're necessarily excited about who they are voting for, but I think there's a big misunderstanding about this audience, that there's apathy within this audience, and that they're not planning on turning out. I think there's a real distinction between whether or not they're going to actually show up and whether or not they're excited to show up.
You know, I love millennials. I think millennials are, I mean, I do. I think I have never seen a generation that's been more socially engaged. I mean, I'm not that much older than a millennial. But you know, there's a lot of apathy. My generation, I feel like, had a lot of apathy and, you know, a lot more sort of internal. Really, like, I'm worried about how this is going to impact me. What am I going to do? And all of my interactions with millennials, they're really focused on the community, right? And like, I want to make a difference, and I want to be in the community, and I want to be a productive member of community, and so I think that millennials could absolutely. But I also, like I said, I think that there are millennials who are looking at this election and are thinking, you know, and I just want to be like, I'm sorry, but you're going to have elections where you're like, you know, and you just got to look at the policies, and you got to make a decision that's educated, and you got to rely less on your emotions, and you maybe do a little investigating and decide what you're going to do.
Are you planning on voting this year?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes, I do plan on voting, unfortunately. With all the crazy things going on with this election, so I might as well get out and vote, you know.
I am Aaron Boger, and I am 20 years old. Soon 21, though. Important.
So do you plan on voting this election?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I think it's important to vote, first of all, but I think it's especially important this year because of how garbage and toxic the election is, and how you know, there's Trump. That's it.
I'm voting because, well, this will actually be my first time voting, so it's an exciting election, so why not vote? I mean, like, it could possibly make a difference, since I'm really there's two completely like polar like sides, so every vote does count in my book, and I mean, it's your duty to vote as an American and as a citizen of these United States. My parents came here, they had to like earn their citizenship, and now they feel as it's important to vote because they have a voice in this government, or like what would happen in our society, and I feel like that kind of, I learned that from them, so that's why I'm voting.
Voting is important. There's a lot of people that'll say it doesn't matter, and you know, living in a state like Minnesota where it's traditionally going blue no matter what, you could argue that. But if people don't go out and vote, which they don't have any say on the political spectrum, which means we're represented by an opinion base that doesn't actually come from the total public. You know what I mean? With the percentage of people that don't vote, it hinders our representation.
What do you think is important about voting?
Deciding who you want to vote for based on who you want to vote for, and try not to like let your parents, I think that's a big issue of parents influencing vote.
Over half of young people said they feel fearful about the nation's future. The question is, are they so fearful that they may not turn out tomorrow?
We have seen that our nation is more deeply divided than we thought.
Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division. Have to get together. To all Republicans and Democrats and independents across this nation, I say it is time for us to come together as one united people.
Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead. Our constitutional democracy enshrines the peaceful transfer of power. And we don't just respect that, we cherish it.
Yes, I did vote.
How did that go for you?
It was easy. Minnesota's got an easy process for like registering and everything, so it wasn't difficult, but it was disheartening because you can see the little number of people who voted, you know, on the machine, and it was not so big. So that wasn't as good.
Do you think your vote mattered?
I think everybody's vote matters, but sadly enough, depending on where you live, it matters more or less. So like, if I lived in Wyoming, my vote probably would have mattered 30 times more than it does here, because there are like 200 people in that entire state. So unless the Buffalo vote, I don't know.
So did you learn anything from this election?
Yeah, this is a wake-up call for America. Obviously, our country is very divided right now, so I feel like this is like the most important time to kind of be vocal, but also at the same time work together and like unite as one and be like the America that we actually like really want.
Do you know anyone who didn't vote?
I know a lot of people that didn't vote.
Does it bother you?
It does, because the reason they didn't vote is half-baked. They didn't think it through. Protests. It was a lot of people. I campaigned in California when I was living there for Bernie Sanders, and a lot of my fellow Berners chose not to vote because Bernie Sanders didn't get the Democratic nomination. And now those same people are really upset. And a lot of them are white, and it's upsetting to me that it kind of exposed the hypocrisy that they had so little on the line that they were able to use their vote as a protest, when the issues at hand hadn't changed. So it was weird to see them so impassioned during the Democratic primaries and then so nearsighted for the election. And again, they voted in California, or they didn't vote in California. So at the end of the day, California still went blue, but it's not about that. It's about that mentality. So I got in an argument with him, and I told him how upset I was that they didn't vote because they didn't even try to stop this. And there are arguments, well, I'm in California, it doesn't matter. I'm like, no, I know, but I don't know anyone in Michigan that didn't vote. But I have to rage against you because you were my dumbass that didn't vote. So you get all of my scoring. I blame you as a Democrat for doing this. So, yeah, I've had a lot of burnt bridges.
I think I learned that more than ever how important it is to support. I think more than ever, sort of it reinforced the idea that we have to walk the walk, right? Like we have to get out there. We have to, if we care about things, and it's not even enough to just vote on the every 4-year election, but like if you care about the environment, you need to like donate to the Sierra Club, right? Like you have to do something else. You can't just talk about it and click on it in Facebook. You really have to take action. And there are lots of really easy things that you can do. And so more and more as time goes on, I'm learning the easy things that seem like, why haven't I done this before? It's really easy to set up a recurring donation of $5 a month to Planned Parenthood, right? Like that's really easy to do. And it's something that's, so if you're like, how am I going to afford this? You have one less coffee a month. It really is as simple as that.